Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Porsche Carrera GT in Asphalt 8 in multiplayer for the second time. This time I am at a rank of 1500 with a tuning of 2502 and in Pro Kits 5050. I was originally going to test this car around 1680 or so, but then the update came out and everything changed. So let me explain. A few days ago, Mina posted on the Gameloft forums saying that they were going to be changing multiplayer matchmaking to be based on the new ranks of the cars. Now, the thing was, also in that post, they did something about changing to be based on the stats instead of the ranks, which is exactly what the previous petition that I had made helped to revert. So I was just about ready to uninstall the game, but I decided to wait and see what would happen. And thankfully, that did not happen. They're based on the new ranks of the cars, which isn't great because the new ranks just messed up old good multiplayer cars, which I do not like, but at least it's not as bad as if they were based on the stats of the cars. So, you can rest easy on that point. I'll explain the next race why this led me to keep my car around 1500 rank and not go higher than that. So, in this race, we beat a Vulcan, MP48, and Homage. So, the reason I kept the car here instead of going above 1600 is because below, I don't know, like 1550 or wherever, this car is like king now. Because the SLK Special Edition and R8 e-tron Special Edition all had their ranks greatly increased. They're not going to be at this rank anymore. Meaning we're not going to see them in this car. And also the Camaro's rank got increased, and the Homage, and pretty much everything else you're going to see around this rank. Except for the Vulcan, which most people have at higher ranks anyway. So if you use this car at this rank now, you're basically going to win pretty much every race unless you face some other Carrera GTs, which I did in actually a lot of my races, and you will see a lot of those in this video. If I were to tune this car above 1600, let's say, I would face those cars again, and I wanted to show that this car at this rank, 1500 or below, is going to be your new best multiplayer friend, unless of course you have a high-ranked IE or X2 or something like that, but this thing will give some really easy wins. Also, the M14A is very good at low ranks now. Maybe I will test that sometime. So in this race, we beat a 1590 rank Carrera GT in Champion League. Now, I was starting to risk points, so we won't see quite as many of those super high-ranked cars. However, in this race, we are facing an SLK Special Edition, who was actually lower ranked than us, but he did not do as great as an SLK Special Edition at that rank would have before. That is one thing I really hate about this update. They're making all these old good cars that people spent so much time and work and tokens and everything to get, and they're just not that great anymore. Yes, the R8 SE needed a bit of a nerf, but not the SLK. That thing was so hard to drive that if you learned how to drive it, your wins were very deserved. And this poor guy here who probably spent many tokens and credits, and I don't know how he got the SLK, but now it's really not going to be doing much good for him. And I've heard plenty of other people say they'd been saving up for the SLK for so long, maybe just got it, and now it's not good anymore. All cars, except perhaps the R8 SE at low ranks, were perfectly fine at the ranks they were. I don't know why they had to go and change them all up and ruin so many of the cars that people worked so hard to get. Now, the very low rank cars and the very high rank cars should still be okay, and at the low ranks you should be able to do better now that the R8 SE is not down there anymore. So that, I guess, is one plus of this change, but overall, I don't like it. But as I said earlier, it's definitely better than matchmaking based on speed. So, now I want to talk a bit about the future of Asphalt 8 on my channel. Ever since Asphalt 9 came out, I've stuck with making one Asphalt 8 video per week. But starting now, I'm not going to hold myself to that anymore. I've just lost so much interest in the game that I really would rather spend most of my time on Asphalt 9 and making Asphalt 9 videos. Now, I still will upload some Asphalt 8, just probably not once a week. Now, I do plan to make that MP48 multiplayer video and stuff like that, but just know that there won't be one guaranteed one per week anymore. This is definitely a bit of a turning point for me. So here we have beat this other Carrera GT as well as the R8 SE. Now, I happen to race that same Carrera GT later in the video, and let's just say it's not quite so easy. So in this next race, we have a pretty close race on London. Here we are facing a 1532 Carrera GT. Now, I've seen this guy before. His name is Porous Karma and then a few numbers, and I figured out that that is some sort of Xbox gamer tag thingy. I don't know exactly how it is because I don't have a gamer tag and I don't have an Xbox and all that, but yeah, that's why there's so many of those sorts of names going around. It's adjective, noun, and a few numbers. Anyways, I have faced him so many times before in other multiplayer races and videos, so he's definitely a long-time player of the game, and he's actually near 2300 rating. And I could tell why, because he was a quite good driver throughout this race, and being at a higher rank, he had a higher speed than me, meaning that he was slowly catching up throughout. So my decreasing interest in the game is partially due to the fact that this petition has done completely nothing, and Gameloft had the nerve to make it so that you have to pay money, real money, to get to certain VIP levels to even play events for certain cars, which are not even especially great. After knowing about the petition and not doing anything that the community asked for in it, no changes have been reverted that I'm aware of. And from what I've seen, they're just planning to go straight ahead with all of them. In my opinion, the worst change out of all of them is the ridiculous pro kit requirements. It literally takes a few hundred cards to pro out some cars now. And I now can't upgrade some to test at higher ranks. And that's another reason why my car is still here. So we beat that Carrera GT there after a quite close race, probably the closest race I had out of all the races I played in this car. Now, the ones you're seeing in this video are the most interesting and closest ones against some of the better cars that I've faced. I definitely cut out at least half of the races that I played in this car because frankly, they were boring. I did not cut out any I lost. The ones I cut out were the ones I won by a huge margin, and there was no competition, which is what happened when so many of the good players decide to quit a game. I've seen this in the multiplayer matchmaking where it takes forever to find hardly anybody. And in most of the races I get in, there's no cars of much consequence. Here I make a mistake and flat spin into the side of the castle. I've not wrecked there before on this track, and I probably won't again. And then I go up that ramp slowly, causing me to hit this and go up slowly again, causing that other Carrera GT to catch up almost right on top of me. Somehow he manages to not pass me, and I manage to not wreck there, and something happens to him, causing him to fall back quite quickly. Perhaps he went out of the track, I don't know. Now I can tell that this track was quite inspired by some Asphalt 9 tracks, because you can just wall ride around so much of it without losing speed, without having to drift, which is one thing that you didn't really do in Asphalt 8 before, but now on this track, you do that in some places. And in Asphalt 9, you do that all the time. Speaking of Asphalt 9, I've got an Asphalt 9 music video coming in a couple days at 16,000 subs, so stay tuned for that. So here we beat a lower ranked Carrera GT, 1397, as well as some other not as great cars. Now, you can definitely tell that the 100% risk thingy is still working. In most of the races, I was able to face people 100 below me. In one race, I may have cut this one out, but I faced somebody about 150 rank below me, so that hasn't changed in the slightest either. Now this guy aggressively shoves me to the side, and I think I know why. He is the guy in Champion League that I beat earlier, the guy with the Russian name. And he probably did not want to get beat by me again, so he didn't lose any rating, so he proceeded to push me to the side. Now, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to catch up to him, since he was a pretty good driver and since his speed is pretty close to mine. So yeah, unless he makes a mistake, there's no way. Although of course, I was going to try my best, as always. Most of you guys have probably seen my 200 garage video and know that I won't be going for pretty much any of the new cars that are going to be added to the game. Now, I may still upload multiplayer videos of other people testing new cars, so that's still on the table, and I might still continue to do that, even if I get to the point where I quit the game. So you don't have to worry about Asphalt 8 multiplayer videos fading away completely from my channel. Just know that they won't be maybe quite as often. So we are coming up to the end of the first lap here. Now, he takes the route through the tunnel, which I thought was a bit interesting. That really is only good if you are in super high top speed cars, like the SLK that don't have really good handling or acceleration. But he was far enough ahead that it worked out fine for him, and he came in first place. Now for our final race in the video, in which we are facing another Carrera GT and two MP48s, all of which are slightly lower ranked than us. So now it's time for me to give my general review about this car. It is a good car. It sort of acts like what the old Camaro used to be like. It is now the dominant car around this rank, and if this is where you feel comfortable playing, this is the car you should use. Now, if you don't have this car, do not fear. Cars like the M14A are still good at lower ranks, and cars like the 959 are good at even lower ranks, and the X2 and Apollo are good at higher ranks. And we end up coming in first in this race. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content. Keep an eye out for that music video, and I will see you later. Goodbye.